But so in this session too, I'm going to talk to you about, we're zoning in on studying the Arabic for the purpose of understanding the Quran. Okay, so when it comes to learning any language, you want to be able to acquire 4 skills. Okay, any language that you're good at, you want to be able to say, I have 4 skills in that language. Those skills are reading, writing, listening, and speaking. I'll say that again: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And the way to organize those skills, like when you go to I used to study Spanish in high school, and I'm trying to learn some Turkish now. And at one point or another, I've tried to learn several other different languages. When you go to a language class, your professor, your teacher will get you to say something, speaking. I'll get you to say, my name is this, or here's how you say hello, or here's how you say welcome, here's how you say good evening, etc., right? That's speaking. They'll try to introduce you to the alphabet of that language. That's writing, obviously. They'll say something and expect that you understand what they said. That's listening, right? And then, of course, they'll put words on the board or in your textbook, and they'll expect you to read it in that language the way it's supposed to be pronounced. That's reading. I want you to take those 4 skills, reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and restructure them, reorganize them in your mind. Again, we're learning not Spanish or German or French. Actually, we're not even learning Arabic for a general purpose. We're learning Arabic to understand the Quran. It's a very specific purpose. Our entire study of the language is focused primarily first on a book, and then everything else in that language. That's secondary to us, right? If that's the case, then of those 4 skills, 2 skills become less important. In the beginning, at least anyway, they become less important. So speaking becomes less important, and writing becomes less important, because for the average Muslim who just wants to understand the Quran, they're not going to sit there and write Surah Al-Baqarah. They're going to read it. They're not going to write it. And even if they never learned how to write it properly, it wouldn't make a difference. They're not interested in writing first. They're interested in understanding first. Don't worry about stop stressing yourself out about vocabulary. It will come. I promise you, it will come, and you'll be very good at it. And actually, the vocabulary of the Quran is easier than most of the vocabulary of Arabic. If you were learning Arabic to understand the Al Jazeera network, you'd have a much harder time. Much harder time. But if you're learning Arabic for Quran, it's way, way easier. But your starting point is not vocabulary. Your starting point is to conquer the hardest part of Arabic. It's grammar. It's structure. And grammar is scary even for English speakers. My God, if you told somebody, I'm going to teach you English grammar, I'd rather get a root canal than learn English grammar. Grammar is not a fun thing to learn. But, crazy enough, I've made a career out of making grammar fun to learn. And Arabic grammar is actually pretty mathematical and very logical and surprisingly fun to learn if you have the right approach. For any of these 10-day milestones that we have, if you have the right pathway, if you have the right course and curriculum, and if you have the right teaching method, those 2 things are key. You can't just have which book should I study? Books are just information. It's what method will I use to teach that book, right? The method has to be right for a student to be able to really retain their stuff. So it's not just about getting a book and going through it and you'll get it. The curriculum is important, but equally important is the teacher. If you can have a combination of those 2 things, you will get to your goal successfully. And that's what I recommend doing for those of you that are able to read and want to progress that way.